All right. This is gonna sound weird and different. I'm in the process of moving, so bear with me. But today I want to talk about talking about music and a few other things because I think media literacy might be at an all-time low right now. Simply put, media literacy is the idea of consuming something with an innate message and being able to understand, then analyze said message. Whether it's a news article, movie, TV show, song, tweet, whatever, anything where there's some kind of communication from a person or people making a thing, putting it out into the world, and then other people receiving it, are those receiving it able to make sense of that thing? I'm talking about hearing Born in the USA and taking it as a pro-America patriotic anthem instead of a harsh critique of the United States. I'm talking about watching It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia and not comprehending that the implication is a bad thing. As the great philosopher Bravo Cooley once said, Twitter the only place where well-articulated sentences still get misinterpreted. You can say, I like pancakes, and somebody will say, so you hate waffles? No, bitch, that's a whole new sentence. What the fuck is you talking about? Maybe it's just me, but lately I've been encountering the so you hate waffles people like never before, and sadly it's not exclusive to Twitter. I make YouTube videos talking about music, and even something as seemingly harmless as that seems to confuse and rile the internet commenters up in baffling ways. While I know that trying to save everyone is a useless concept and some people will never learn, I at least want to make sure that anyone subscribed to me on this platform and any other has a firm idea of where I'm coming from when I say things. I am just some guy who has stumbled into minor success posting his music thoughts on this website. If I ever say your favorite music sucks, I have no qualifications. Nothing I say matters. But the wild thing is, so many people hear any kind of negative critique or constructive criticism and take it as your favorite music sucks. An innocent comment somehow gets translated to them into a full-on personal attack. I got a tweet the other day telling me that I was an idiot, which that part I'm fine with, but their reasoning was because I despise Drake and Eminem. But I don't. I grew up with posters of both of these guys in my bedroom. They both have plenty of albums that I love and have listened to dozens and dozens of times. They were really influential for me becoming as obsessed with music as I am today, and they are 1000% legends in their own right. But supposedly, I despise them. Going back and keyword searching their names in every script I've ever written, I don't know how anyone could make that leap. I've talked about how Drake is more of a well-thought-out brand at this point than he is a unique artist, and how he's this sort of half-genius, half-scammer plowing his way through the music industry. And then I think you'd have to be delusional to not see a decline in Eminem's albums over the years. Of course, I've talked about how these records are corny and bad in comparison to these albums, but where did I despise them? It's wild that you can hear something from the horse's mouth, a first-hand account, a primary source. Harrison from Alpha Media just said that Drake and Eminem aren't as good as they once were, but the way it's going into these people's brains, it's Harrison from Alpha Media despises Drake and Eminem. I credit this to a more reactionary, oversaturated landscape where people are just begging for stimulation, and takes like this thing is okay isn't explosive enough. There's no room for any gray area. It's either black or white. Every sentence out of someone's mouth needs to become this aggressive, easily spreadable misinformation due to a need for instant gratification, I guess. In a way, I don't blame them because it's not really their fault that that's the way the world works. People growing up on social media with the world at their fingertips are easily bored. The other day, I saw a TikTok of someone describing how they have a hard time committing to a TikTok if it isn't grabbing their attention immediately, but the videos that they'll always enjoy are those 2-in-1 things of a robot reading Reddit posts while somebody does Minecraft platforming in the background. Do you see what I mean? Is that why somebody can watch a comical video where I'm joking about Jay-Z's verse in the song Monster, hear me describe Nicki Minaj's part as arguably the most iconic verse of the 2010s, and then somehow flip it into me saying that it's the best verse of all time? How did that happen? I talked about media literacy and getting the point of Born in the USA and It's Always Sunny, but misunderstanding those things doesn't even come close to being confused by arguably the most iconic verse of the 2010s, "It's all there for you." Arguably means some would say it is the best, which is a very common opinion. It's not like I made that up out of nowhere. And then 2010s versus all of music history is a bit of a difference too. That instant gratification aspect helps people be wrong, and then the power of anonymity online helps them be as loud about it as possible with little to no repercussions. The backlash that somebody like Anthony Fantano often faces is a good example to bring up because, one, he is also just some guy who is very open about how this is just his opinion, and two, his album ratings are prime real estate for people to disregard everything he just said and incorrectly focus on that final note of the video. You know the saying, it's not the destination, it's the journey? Remember that the next time you watch a Needle Drop review. The man will give you really detailed, lovely insights and perspectives for 10, sometimes 15 minutes, but then the comment section is just saying that he should have given the album an 8 instead of a 7. Which brings me to another point about the constant barrage of takes and opinions and articles and content and blah 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 blah. With so much going on all the time, to tell something apart from the clutter, it seems like every new release is either trash, goated, and then don't forget about the other one too, mid. The Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. Especially when it comes to bigger musicians, an album they drop is either record of the year or it's nothing. Instantly. Halfway through the first song, and a good chunk of the internet is acting like Tyler the Creator just dropped Songs in the Key of Life or Audible Vomit. And if it's somewhere in between, mid, that will be forgotten by tomorrow's news cycle. That's the formula. Please, at the very least in your real lives, but hopefully online too, throw in a little bit of nuance. I liked this, but I thought that this could have been better. Being complacent with art yields poor future releases and no innovation. Mediocre Drake albums is what happens when you get people reacting like this about him making the same song over and over again. And if he tries something different out, it's fine to actually think it's terrible, but is this album really the worst thing you've ever heard? Or the best? Self-awareness and emotional intelligence is important. I watched Lars von Trier's Antichrist recently, and it's funny to me how people will look at something provocative, and due to it being different, it's either vapid bullshit or life-changing art. Realistically, I, who, again, my opinion does not matter, thought that there was a lot of great technical work, but sort of a meandering narrative that brings up a lot of potential talking points, but doesn't explicitly say too much. You get vague ideas of family, destruction, gender roles, beauty, but no hard-hitting perspective from the filmmaker. I think much of the perspective with something as open-ended as this has to come from the viewer, and that's why it's an example worth bringing up here. I don't want to give something like CinemaSins too much credit, but it's a little unnerving to me that a channel with that much influence tries to critique art with this one-note, black or white scale of right or wrong. I genuinely think they've pushed a generation of consumers into a more adversarial way of looking at media. Their conversations about art are less about enjoyment and discussion and more about competition and gaining some kind of weird higher ground. While again, like myself, Fantano, channels like CinemaSins, and whoever else, in theory, their opinions should not really matter to you. It's the practices learned from us that can make a real difference. When I say that Eminem kind of fell off, and I give you a list of reasons why, do you want to cherry pick the keywords and manipulate my opinion into something that it's not? Or do you want to have a conversation? Thank you for watching that video. Just a quick little rant thing about understanding and communication and whatnot. If you want to support the channel, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. You can follow me on social media at RenshawHS. You can buy my merch, support my Patreon, and thank you again. I'll see you soon.